Today it's time for the all-new generation of the Mini Cooper. It will be available as petrol and all-electric. We have it right here in this EV version with Thomas Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go, because this will be a huge leap for the brand, especially to come in the interior. First of all, starting at the exterior, closed front in the electric version, blazing blue is this very interesting color, definitely a Thomas blue candidate, isn't it? And then we can see this huge round headlamps, typical Mini styling, but the daytime running light, you can actually choose it from the inside. For example, if you want to have this one also illuminated, or just the inside, depending on the driving mode you pick. There will be different versions, both for the petrol and the electric versions. A standard version, here it would be the Mini Cooper E for the electric, the ES or SE it is then called, here with the S logo is then the sportier one, same goes for the petrol versions, and both will also feature a John Cooper Works version. Turning indicators in the front, yes, using all the way this mini design, going really wide and round. I think looking at that, everyone knows you're about to turn somewhere. Here you can see the previous generations. Cool to have them in one shot, isn't it? On the far right, of course, the very vintage one that was always called Mini Cooper, and they return to this naming now. So even the base version will be called Mini Cooper, and not only when you go for another engine, like in the higher engine version. I think it's a more logical naming. This electric version here sits on an own dedicated EV platform and will only be available as a 3-door. You can see it right here. The petrol one will still be offered also with a 5-door, so then 3 or 5 doors. Here the length, in any case, almost the same like the predecessor, 3.86 m or 152 inches. But the design also, let's say, more fluent, more reduced, and you can see this glass housing here goes all the way around basically, so they play with this black design trick. And you can also get this contrasting roof. Wheels start from 16-inch. These are the biggest ones, 18-inch in a massive styling. I think looks pretty cool. And also here you can see there are no contrasting wheel arches anymore. Everything in vehicle color. Towards the rear we also see a very reduced look, simply and clean. And here the LED matrix rear lamps, really interesting technology-wise. They either form this Union Jack, for example, but they can also change in the signature. Then the very prominent lettering of the Cooper, the S here in yellow for the EV version. For the petrol version, the S would be in red. But such a strong stance for a small vehicle, isn't it? As for the battery sizes, they are also small, either 39 kilowatt hours net for the E, for the base version, or 51 kilowatt hours net for this one here, the Cooper SE. Yeah, I mean, it is a clear focus on a city EV. I mean, it's not meant for long distances. I would estimate a realistic figure, something 300 kilometers or 200 miles as for this EV range. As for the acceleration, this is always front-wheel drive, and it will be the base, the S, and later on the John Cooper Works. We have the acceleration figures for the base model. This is at 7.2 seconds, and here the SE at 6.7 seconds. Recharging for the bigger battery, AC or the DC 95 kilowatt peak. This will bring you 10 to 80% state of charge in 29 minutes. Is there anything under the hood? No, there's no frunk. They house the electric motor in there. So using that space here, I mean, the car is not too large, so I think it's fine if there's no frunk. Or what do you think? It's a mini vehicle, but it's not a mini key fob. This is actually quite large, but light. Then the door handles, they fold up, but they're still somewhat flush in a way, but give you good feedback, door closing sound. Is in this case not good, but it's also a frameless door version. Then inside of the doors, that is really cool. Look at that build quality here, all the way with fabric. So reduction of just plain black plastic stuff, just in here on the lower part. And once again, these rather golden elements here, also optional Harman Kardon sound system and more fabric on the dashboard. This gives you like this cozy living room atmosphere. Look at the steering wheel. Smaller, thicker, good grip, vegan material, same durability or even longer. And this lower strappy is an option, you don't have to go for it. This is the so-called favored trim, and then it does have it. Real buttons at the steering wheel and the seats. In base versions you can also get a fabric leatherette mix. This is here the full leatherette version with the bright leatherette. It's also really soft in the quality and the bolstering and so on. So that is now a quality impression of Mini that I would say it justifies also premium pricing, you know. So before I really had to say they had a high price but didn't really match it from the build quality, from this impression. But this is completely different from the whole philosophy. So a huge leap forward for Mini as for the interior feeling. Hardly had any premium feeling like that in a vehicle of that size so far. And with 189, talking about size, or 6'2", I still have some headroom left, and considering it's a small vehicle, it's still decently comfortable also in the seats, especially with this soft bolstering. And steering wheel manual up and down, in and out. The only quality flaw I found here is that you have this foam around, this visible around the steering wheel area. It does cover it well, but yeah, also maybe against scratches. But yeah, that's the only thing I found that is not so good in the build quality, but everything else looks really top notch. Interior cockpit overview, look at that. Fabric dashboard. You can of course get other stylings than this luggage inspired application. OLED screen, 9.5 inch, round, super unique, and oh, doggo, so sweet. You can get your personal pet pictures on there, or you know, of someone else maybe too. So individualizable background, that's a cool idea. And the quality impression here, the vegan steering wheel for example, the knobs that are still the real knobs, and also here this airplane inspired lower control unit for the gear shifting, for turning on and off the vehicle. These experience modes, they have then different modes in the screen, but also projection behind the screen on the dashboard, for example. So this will be very fancy. So overall, I think a crucial thing is now that the interior build quality matches this premium niveau that Mini supposed to be having, and also the price. So far it did not, now it does. The head-up display though is here the separate plexiglass layer, not projected in the windscreen. So if you don't have the head-up display, the speed will just be displayed here in the top part. So I would go for the head-up display. This is a demo mode, it's static, but I can tell you that the temperature control will be here, and then you can slide it up and down. And for more vent control, you press here, and then you have an extensive vent control. Not sure if I'm the biggest fan of that. You could change different stylings here, like the photo. And then there are, for example, functions like this. When you are in music, this will be like the apps and so on, or the main menu will also appear in the middle part. This is like a different driving mode, like the efficiency driving mode, where you have a little bit more range gain by reducing throttle input and so on. Or maybe this, or a vintage look. That's pretty cool. It still shows the range and the battery status, but has then this vintage speedometer we know from the older Minis. And this is another map view, for example, and you can also see different colors, for example, from the different modes, and so also highly customizable. This is, for example, the calculation then for the charging stops and so on. And here the map full screen. Lower middle console here with these, you know, splitters, I would say, 2 USB-C chargers, then also inductive charging pad for your phone. Cup holders are not so adaptive though. And there's an armrest which is attached to the seat. And once again, this luggage-inspired strap to open this small cubby hole. I also like these new handles here from doors from the inside. The panoramic roof will feature an illumination actually. It will also change the color, and it is a fixed one, but at least you can apply this shade when it's really, really hot. Like this. Yeah, really covers all the way of the vehicle interior. On the passenger seat, you have 2 possibilities. Either slide it all the way backward, then you have a lot of space for your legs. Look at that, even if you're super tall. And the second possibility would be slide it that way forward, that you can still sit here as a tall adult. Let's see how far that goes. Maybe like this or so. And then the question is, can I get in the rear? And I see these comments coming with time codes. There's a meme here also that like time code 1015, Thomas in the rear seat. I know you guys want to do that because when I'm on the driver's side, I can't fit in the rear. It's not possible. But then, so one short look inside here, also nice build quality and bright interior is pretty cool. And does it work here behind the passenger side? Let's slide in. Here we go. First of all, from the headroom, that works. So with 189 or 6'2", you can actually also sit in the rear. It's not too uncomfortable, and the seats are very plush. So yeah, that's why not. But then legroom, yeah, when you look to the driver's side, not at all. But here, passenger side, goes back. Yeah, I mean, I have to put my knees a little bit to the outside and then it works. Let's say for shorter trips, 3 tall adults are fine, but not 4. As for the trunk, you have 200 liters of space. What I found quite interesting is here on the top of this shelf or this cover, you have this structured effect. And I think that adds, even in these details, more to the premium quality. Then the width here is like 93 centimeters or about 37 inches. The length, hardly anything, 45 centimeters or 18 inches. Of course, it's also a small vehicle. And then when you lift this one up, you have some space for a small charging cable. And you can also fold the seats already from here, putting these straps, folding it forward like this, 2/3, 1/3. And then the maximum length you can get to the front seats, that here would be 115 meters or 45 inches. By the way, I told you that this platform here is EV dedicated. And this one here, the electric version, will be built in a joint venture with Great Wall Motors in China. And the petrol engines, and then also 3-door, 5-door, will still be built in Oxford in the UK. So the battery size has almost doubled if you compare the so far Mini Electric with this one here now with the bigger battery. That's of course a big step forward, but we have to remind ourselves that this one will still be rather a city EV, but considering the size, this is also okay. They also try to keep the price a little bit lower. So this one, as it stands here right now, will enter at 37,000 euros in Germany, for example, 33,000 for the smaller battery. And to me, actually, the most important thing is that on the interior, they made a huge leap forward. So this is now definitely a premium interior in this very segment. At that size here, I think the most premium interior you can get. And I think they have this balance between, on the one hand, high build quality and also appealing to European and American market. At the same time, also bringing something more playful, something more interesting, and also giving something more as for infotainment, what, for example, the Chinese markets expect more. So this is a very interesting choice. So the only downside I can see is that it doesn't serve all purposes which go in a longer range. That's the downside here. Everything else, I'm really impressed by the way the whole brand actually made this huge leap forward there. What do you think? Tell me in the comments. And if you want to see more, maybe you've seen it in the background already, we also have a video of the new Mini Countryman for you.